Our Washington correspondent, Annelise Nielsen.
Kieran, this has been something of a chaotic day in Washington, D.C. and with the situation evolving so quickly in Afghanistan, it shows just how precarious the next week is going to be. Firstly, we heard from the president after a 4-hour delay. They rescheduled his press conference a number of times. He only spoke for about 10 minutes, but it was quite illuminating about some of the challenges that they're facing in this final stage of the withdrawal. The president met with G7 leaders virtually and discussed, among other things, but principally the Afghan withdrawal. The pressure from G7 leaders has been to extend that deadline, to increase resources there to ensure they get out not only their own citizens, but all those Afghans who worked with their respective governments over the last 2 decades. But the president is holding firm to that August 31 deadline. The big concession we got today was that he is asking for contingency plans if something were to go wrong in the next week.
We are currently on a pace to finish by August the 31st. The sooner we can finish, the better. Each day of operations brings added risk to our troops. But the completion by August 31st depends upon the Taliban continuing to cooperate and allow access to the airport for those who we're transporting out and no disruptions to our operation.
What's quite alarming in that rhetoric, though, is the increasing concern around the safety of those US troops at the same time as they're saying they're considering leaving more there. They have begun to withdraw a couple of hundred. That's from a total of 5,800 that it went up to from the original 2,500 that were in place when that evacuation originally was announced. And so this is showing just how quickly the situation is moving. At the same time, the president said more than 70,000 people have been assisted by the US to leave Afghanistan since August 14, but there's still a long way to go. Tomorrow we're expected to get some more accurate numbers about exactly how many Americans they're dealing with in Afghanistan, because that's something that's not been readily available to the embassy, to those staff as well, because that's not something they traditionally keep track of, and they seem to have been caught on the back foot with that particular metric leading into this evacuation process.
Annelise, the Taliban have weighed in on President Biden's timeline to have this withdrawal complete by August 31st.
Look, this has been really notable today too, that we've seen stronger rhetoric from the Taliban in speaking about this evacuation. For the first time, they've said they don't want Afghans leaving the country and that they're actually making moves to stop any Afghans accessing Kabul airport to make any of those evacuation flights. The other thing that they've been quite stern about is this August 31 deadline, that the president shouldn't look to stay beyond then. So it does shape up the idea that there would be some kind of confrontation or conflict if that deadline isn't adhered to.